Welcome back to Valley Boys TCGCK here, and we're continuing our run with our white control tiger variant, I guess you could say. We are playing the final round here in locals, and my opponent is playing a very interesting build. It's kind of a rainbow build. I honestly don't even know what it was, and I even after playing it, I don't even remember what the deck was. I forgot to ask him. I want to say it's similar to the Smog or K decks, but I didn't see Smog or K, so we'll say it's just rainbow good stuff. I use the Scope Owl as the thumbnail for this one. I feel like Scope Owl was one of the ones that gave me the most headaches in this game, because I mean, he's just good. That little owl is a menace. So we see us starting off. He gets the Worker Ant-Man out. We got the Sheriff Eagle out. Sheriff Eagle is a very good control piece in white, especially if you have your infinity blocking, your suppressions with it. It's a real sticky piece that just holds it down. So they got their Worker Ant-Man out, they get their core, they already have a Nexus out, so we're playing a little behind. We've taken a point of damage. So we core up the Eagle, might as well, this way we have protection from green, because it does have armor green at level 2, and then we drop the, and there's a little bit of confusion here about the order of operations here, but the android will bounce the, Valkyrie Mist bounces Worker Ant-Man. He still has the 3 cores in order to pay for Star Bless, so he can play it. We're just making sure everything clarifies, but it was cleared up. I just did a cut there so we can jump ahead, but it's all good. He does get the 4 draws off of that, and we do get to clear the board, so might as well get some chip damage in now that he has no cores to defend with anyway, so he can't flash. So we bring him down to 3. And so Canyon, he's gonna ditch the Derm Dyna. Derm Dyna is another interesting piece to have in here, because once he sets up, that Derm Dyna is gonna be an issue for our white wall. Beldegor comes down, and he's able to get rid of the Eagle because it does not have protection from Beldegor, unfortunately, and he double Beldegors us, clearing our field. Now that is an issue. Beldegor with Scope Owl is a very, very good combo, and you can see a flash of his hand. I believe he has 2 Scope Owls in hand, and he had double Beldegor already, so he has a lot of great low to the ground pieces that are gonna give me a real headache here. Just does all the damage. Now we have nothing on board, we have no reductions on board, and we're down to 2 life. We set a burst, assuming that's the ice shield, because we're gonna need it now, and we have to pay a full 8, and we get the Enterprise out. So Enterprise being a double blocker, that's gonna bode well for us. We need Enterprise on board, and he's got the he does have armor, so that also should come in handy. But just mainly we need the double blocker. We do not have a way to pay Ice Shield. If he can go extremely wide here, then we are kind of in trouble. And yeah, he Thorn Prisons there, and this is where it's kind of not looking good for us, because we take the damage, he swings again, and this is where we have to, we're basically done. We can't proc the Ice Shield, because even if we did, he would still have 2 attacks, and we can't pay for the Ice Shield at this point. So that's just GG's. Realized the double blocker wasn't going to help us there. We did not have enough reduction or cores to be able to survive the turn with suppression or to proc the Ice Shield. So that was just a very bad first game for us. We did not get enough pieces. We got too much of our board removed because we got stingy of trying to check in early. So the double Beldegors really, really hurt. So really quick game 1, unfortunately for us, but we're going to try to come back game 2. The big part, I think, in this matchup, and what really goes in any card game, is knowing what your opponent is playing or trying to play. And the fact that he's playing Rainbow is such a good thing, because it throws a lot of people off. It threw me off. I wasn't sure what I was playing against, so I wasn't sure how to play around and counter. The double Beldegor really hurt, and so here now we see a Grimoire Fairy come down, and that's a card that's not really played much except maybe outside of Luster. Outside of Luster, I don't think I've seen it in anything. So he's able to get a Dream Bomb. So now we know he has a Dream Bomb in hand. And then he does the chip damage with the Fairy. So, and you may have noticed, we mulliganed and we did not have anything to play first turn. We set a burst and passed. So we had nothing. So we're not feeling good. We had to pass turn, nothing on board. So here we get to get an Odin out. But it's not going to do much here. We don't have the third core to get it to level 2. So we're just going to go ahead and chip damage. He's got nothing to block with anyway. But having to mulligan, so you're down a card, and then turn 1, all you can do is set a burst and not play anything. That is a very, very scary situation to be in, especially getting rolled so easily in game 1. So here we see he's got another worker Ant-Man out. We can bounce it next turn if we core up the Odin, but we don't have enough cores this time, so he'll be able to get some chip damage in and then get a core. We are forced to just take damage. So this is feeling very reminiscent of game 1. We proc our Ice Shield here to just kind of keep us at 3. We don't want to drop below the 3, and he'll have an exhausted field. So hopefully we can take advantage of it this time. We have we got cores to work with, sort of, but we don't have much reduction. We probably should get a Nexus on board just to try to have some reduction. But also, it doesn't seem like we're seeing any Diamond Sanctuaries. We're not seeing any of our Tigers. So this game was very different. We got a Valkyrie Mist. Now, here's the thing. Odin will bounce the Ant, but if we bounce the Grimoire Fairy, he's going to be able to search more magic. And I don't know if we want that. So I think the best course of action here was to bounce the Ant, so he's got to pay for it next turn, and then we just leave the Odin up to block, and we can bounce the Ant again on the block step, so it won't really affect us next time as long as Odin stays on board. So we're just going to try to get some chip damage with the Valkyrie Mist. No burst triggers or anything there, and then we just pass turn. Again, we're going to have to play very defensive here because we're not sure how to get around things. Our Valkyrie is at risk of getting Beldegored again. But yeah, this very tough matchup. He threw away right there. That's interesting. And yep, there it is. Called it. Beldegored came down, got rid of the mist. But Beldegored is also something we can bounce. Maybe that's a way to do it. And see, now here comes Ant-Man. So whatever he swings with, we'll be able to bounce one of those 2 spirits. There's a good chance he's going to swing with Ant-Man to... Yeah, there we go. Yeah, he's going to swing Ant-Man first so that he can guarantee he gets the core, because otherwise we would bounce the Ant-Man, he wouldn't get the core. We bounce the Beldegored. It won't affect us next turn, luckily. So we've blocked the Ant-Man. That should probably destroy the Ant-Man as well. I think he's just thinking about if he's going to flash anything here. Yeah, he decides not to flash and just attack with the Fairy. We remind him the Ant-Man was blocked. Swings to the Fairy. We're forced to take the damage. So yeah, now it's feeling very reminiscent, the Beldegors and the lack of field. So we get a burst. Should be an Ice Shield. We need it to be an Ice Shield. And we pay 4 cores. We get a Dimension Rift. Now this is where this comes such clutch here, because 4 cost to get a Dragon down. So the Dragon Ship Enterprise is on board with 2 cores, so that means we have a double blocker, 3 blocks with the Odin, plus Odin can bounce a 3 or lower when blocking or when attacking. And now we core up the Enterprise, so we also have armor across the board. So that Dimensional Rift really is what's saving us. Dimensional Rift into the Enterprise is such a huge combo there. And honestly, Dimensional Rift can get you turn 2 Enterprise on board just because of how it plays out, depending on what you play on the lower end. You just have 1 spirit on board, now you can play this. And so he matches white for white. He gets his Nomengard out. But he paid a lot of cores for that. So now he doesn't have much to flash with. So we're kind of sitting okay, knowing he can't really get too aggressive because he paid a lot for that. And we get a Camellia Whip out. Camellia Whip, we're going to use this to bait the block. If he blocks with... Because we can't really swing Enterprise. It needs to stay on board to have the double blocker. Camellia Whip will bait the block. We'll swing with that first. That way, if it doesn't die, we have something to block the fairy. He won't block with the fairy. He'll have to block with the Gnoming Guard, and then the Gnoming Guard won't die, so we won't ramp him. We won't draw him cards. So the best bet here is to sacrifice the Camellia Whip so that we can guarantee we don't pop Gnoming Guard, and we can go ahead and swing with the Odin if we want here. Yep, so we can get that chip damage to bring him down to 2, because he can't... If he blocks the fairy, he loses the fairy, and I don't think he wants to lose a spirit here. So we just end it there. We have our double blocker. We have our armor. So we're starting to stabilize. We're starting to look better. Hopefully that is an ice shield. But he does have the Derm Dyna already. So we won't even be able to fully utilize the double block. So he's going to get the Derm Dyna up. He only has one Nexus. There's only one Nexus on board, so we won't. He'll only have one unblockable, which will probably be Derm himself. So he goes in, swings, does his Derm thing to be unblockable, and we'll have to proc the Ice Shield here. Yep. And we have exactly 3 cores in reserve, so that works out perfectly for us. And then he does get the refresh step because he does have Elephant. So we're still working to try to get there. We get Mecha Wing Duck out, and we get a Valkyrie Mist. The deck would be so much better if it just worked on all turns, but it's only when attacking that it gets the core up. Otherwise, it'd probably be too good. But hey, because of that, we do get to bounce the Derm, so he's got 1 fewer blocker. So now we just gotta... We're probably gonna swing in with the Little Spirits, just so that we don't trigger Gnoming Guard. But here he goes to flash in the Scope Owl. Now this Scope Owl gave me headaches this entire second game. So he Scope Owled, which dies. We block with the, we exhaust the duck from the Scope Owl effect. And now we have to decide. We really want to trigger and trip his Ice Shield, but it looks like we just passed there. He draws 2 for his Canyon. Tosses another Scope Owl, and you see he still has a 3rd Scope Owl in hand from this angle. So yeah, it looks like he's drawing, I believe he draws all his Scope Owls in this game. See the Star Bless come down, he gets more card draw there. He's putting up his pieces. And here comes Beldegor back again. But he realized a little late that it's not going to do much because Enterprise is at level 3, so we have armor across the board for red, purple, and white. Enterprise gives armor against red, purple, and white, and he double Beldegors anyway. That could have been a very painful turn if not for armor. So he double Beldegors, but there's no triggers there, and now we can have some interesting interactions. We can block with the Odin to bounce the second Beldegor and clear and really cut his board in half. So yeah, we're gonna block with the Odin, bounces the Beldegor, and then it'll kill the one that's attacking. So we're looking good here. We're starting to stabilize, and we're really starting to turn the tide, I think. It was a very, very rough start. As you saw, if he pushed a little harder, we probably would have made it. I think Dimensional Rift really saved us. Dimensional Rift into Enterprise was really a clutch moment to be able to stabilize and come back into it to make it close as we are right now. So here we decide to go ahead and block with the Enterprise because we don't have an Ice Shield set. So we have to block. Unfortunately, that's going to give him the core ramp and the card draw, and then he swings with the Fairy. We're forced to block, or we choose to block with the Fairy, which is going to, he flashes in Scope Owl, so we're going to take damage either way. There's no way around it. We're going to take damage here, and then swings with the Scope Owl, bringing us down to 1, but he doesn't have enough cores to flash another one. If he had enough cores to flash another Scope Owl, or enough to bring Beldegor back, which I guess he could have brought Beldegor back from the Fairy. but then he wouldn't be able to scope owl. It was one way or another. If he was able to get one of those two, if he had just a few more cores, we would have been in serious trouble. So here we swing with the Valkyrie Mist, and he's got some choice whether to flash something in or just proc the Ice Shield. The problem is he only has 3 cores in reserve, so if he's going to pay for the Ice Shield, he's going to lose Scope Owl. And he doesn't have a choice. He has to. He has to here. This is his only option. So we clear board, and we keep a pretty wide board present. So we're sitting pretty. Enterprise is really keeping us in this game. And Odin, too, honestly. The Odin type X being able to bounce those little annoying spirits back to hand gives us the extra that we need. Here he's going to trash the Dream Bomb because it's not going to work. The Enterprise is shutting down Dream Bomb. Enterprise is shutting down a lot of his removal. He can't Burning Force us. The only thing he has to rely on is those Scope Owls and potentially Thorn Prisons. And let's be honest, Scope Owl is enough to do some damage. So we see Worker Ant-Man come down. Yes, he put it to level 2 yet. I think he's trying to decide what he needs to play out. We see Scope Owl come in. I think he's just trying to see if he can go wide enough. Yeah, I think I just saw it there in his hand. He does have Smog, so I guess this is the Rainbow Smog deck, but it never came into play in this game. Similar to how I'm playing Frost Tiger, and that never came into play. So here he goes. He swings in, and we Dream Bomb away his Derm. That Derm was going for game there. Luckily, we had a Dream Bomb in hand to be able to save us there. So now we are lucky. Derm Dyna was going for game. He had game, if not for that Dream Bomb in hand. And that really hurts him here because he paid all the cores in the world for that Derm. So now he doesn't have the cores. We're going to block, bounce, he'll suspend something, but he lost his whole board. And this time the Duck does get to trigger. The Duck does get to core up. If he has... It looks like he only has 3 cores in reserve, so this should be able to go for a game here. Like I said, that Dream Bomb saved us. We're low on hand size, but we're getting the pieces we need just to barely survive this one. We put a Nomen Guard down anyway, or Nomen City, I should say, and we're just moving cores around. We want to go ahead and let Odin be max level. We swing with the Valkyrie Mist, and he wants to flash things in. There's nothing really he can flash here because of the armor is just basically an issue. And it's not an Ice Shield, it's a Dream Bomb. He was trying to fake us out with it was an Ice Shield, so he just gets rid of the Nexus, can't remove anything else because of the armor. And Duck goes for game, Enterprise saves us. We got the lucky comeback because it was a rough one. Camera died before Game 3, but I believe we did clutch up in Game 3. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay. Hope you come back next time.